Welcome to the Casual Adventure Notes podcast, the CAN podcast, lazy, easy listening about little life's adventures
And lessons.
and lessons. One of the dogs just kicked. I have two dogs in the room at the moment, and one of the dogs just climbed over and took the other
Louis,
dog's spot.
come here.
And now
Over here.
the other one is just wandering around confused. He's like, "Why did you kick me out of my spot? That was so mean."
Come on. You can sit next.
And all right. Hello, everyone. Let's start things off with our palate cleanser today. What do we have?
101 things I learned in law school.
Let's go with number 13.
I think we've done this one.
14.
All right. So this one is titled Requirement of a Controversy. I don't know why I mispronounced that. The powers of three branches of the US government are balanced by a system of checks and balances. The judiciary's power to overrule the other branches is checked by a requirement that it act only on controversies brought to it. In the absence of a court case, it may not initiate new law. And then on the left, there's three different pictures of branches. So executive branch, limited powers to create law through proclamations and executive orders. Legislative branch creates law by enacting statutes. Judicial branch creates law through decisions made in disputes brought to it.
Wait, what does controversy mean?
I don't know, actually. That's a good question.
Because I don't know. I don't understand the I know that.
Maybe it means issues. So, like specific issues. Act on issues brought to it.
I guess that makes sense. Because I only know the word controversy from like general use, like when you have an opinion and it's controversial. That's the only definition I know. I can't apply it in a law context based on that definition. That was confusing for me.
But I think it looks like, from my read of it, that obviously certain issues are brought to certain different branches, and they, in themselves, create laws by the powers that branch has. So, for one instance, the judicial branch, which creates laws through, I'm assuming, like court cases. So, for example, if there is a case and there's a certain decision made, then any other similar case, that was our dog. Any other similar case that's brought in will have the same outcome, because you wouldn't be inconsistent if it's the same issues presented. And that in itself creates a law of how certain outcomes are determined based on the instance. There is then the legislative branch, which I think it is sort of enacting laws through like the government, like voting parties or members that vote to say, yep, this is now going to become law.
I don't know what the 101 thing is.
And the executive branch, I haven't finished yet, is the one where the president just writes laws and does like proclamations and orders. That has limited powers. Yeah. So yeah, that's just the different way laws are created, essentially explaining.
Okay. So a controversy is a law.
A controversy, I think it is essentially, it means like there's a particular issue. So it's saying certain issues have to be brought to certain levels of
discuss legislation.
Yes, branches. That's my read of it. I could be completely off and wrong, so you never know. But I think I've heard the use of proclamations, because I know in the US the current President Donald Trump has written a lot of proclamations and signed orders on like what he wants things to be, how he wants things to run, and what can be done and can't be done. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway,
Okay.
let's leave it at that because I think we're just going to go round circles and both get more confused.
It's funny because these 101 things books are like fundamentals and like basic high level like knowledge about certain topics. And like, I guess law really is that hard and that challenging. There's a reason you have to be a level of intelligence to get in because even the fundamental stuff, I'm like, what?
Yeah, even some of them are a bit tricky.
Yeah.
101 is like, for me, it's like explaining it in very layman's terms, but maybe that is very difficult to explain the law in such simplistic manner that you kind of maybe need to have some legal understanding to still comprehend that stuff. But hey, that's why you have lawyers and why you can hire them, because me and you definitely can't represent ourselves in court if that ever came to it.
True. All right, let's go into our main course. And before we do that, this is your official spoiler warning alert before we dive into it. It's another book recap. It's book 2 of a series that I've talked about before. The series is called The War of Lost Hearts by Carissa Broadbent. Last time we spoke about A Daughter of No Worlds, and this one we're going to talk about the second book, Children of Fallen Gods. Official spoiler warning. If you plan to read the book and you prefer not to know what it's about, then I would tune out and leave this episode. But if you don't really care about spoilers, then keep listening. To be fair, I probably won't retell it. I won't do it justice. I still always encourage people to read it. Actually, part of the reasons why I like to do recap, one, I love the book so much and I just want to keep talking about it. But the other thing is like I hope to inspire people that I know to read it as well so that we can talk about it as well. All right. So The War of Lost Hearts by Carissa Broadbent. And we're focusing on book 2 today, which is Children of Fallen Gods. But let's just do a quick recap from book 1, Daughters of No World War. So we got introduced to our female main characters, our FMC, Tisaanah, who we were introduced to where she was a slave in this country. But she manages to escape and she wanted to kind of like make the world better. And she thought the way to do that was to join a council kind of thing called the Order, which are filled with like what are perceived are the most strongest magical beings. She, there's 2 types of magic and she is forgot what the word is. Oh, what's the word when she's like not a full breed? Like
half breed?
But she's not a half breed because she's not both the magic type, but she's like so the one of the magic types is like a physical trait of these people. They're always like white hair, pale, all that stuff. Whereas she's like, she has patches of darker in her hair. She has patchy skin. She has 2 different color eyes. It was like a word they used in the series that I forgot. I don't remember. Anyways.
I won't know. Can't. I vaguely remember
it's
the
not
first book and her being a slave.
Yes.
And then her being like the favorite slave of someone, yeah?
Yes, that was the...
And then something about her wanting to... taking his literal words around exchanging her life for some monetary amount. Is that the right book?
Yeah, that's the right book.
Okay.
So anyways, listen to the first part or just read the book. Anyways, long story short, she manages to join the Order despite her shortcoming in the public eye because she has a lot of like strong-willed and brute force and she just learns with the help of our MMC, male main character, Max. Max is a ex-war veteran who was part of the Order. He was one of their strongest like leaders. He actually ended a war that happened like however long, like decades ago, and he's retired from all the trauma from that. He gets forced to train her essentially, and then slowly starts becoming like smitten and falling in love with her. And then them two basically he watches her learn that the Order's quite corrupt because people in leadership just want power. And if she really wants to make a difference, she needs to take matters in her own hands. And then she does. So at the end of the first book, what happens was she negotiates a deal with the Order to host this like deep magic in her, Reshaye, which is like a deeper magic that has its own like mind that just like lives inside her and can take over her and gives her stronger magic to like fight with. And she utilizes that at the end where she strikes a deal where she can use that power to save her friends from that country that she ran away from. And the end scene is like a small group of them, her, Max, with a few friends, go out, save a bunch of slaves from that country. We reveal that her deep magic power is like whenever she touches someone, they rot to decay. And they barely just escape this like royalty house where Max also reveals his power, which we learned that he's kept part of his deep magic as well, where he has a double eyelid, and if he opens his second eyelid, like he unleashes this
eyelid.
Yeah.
Eye or eyelid?
Eyelid.
There's
a second, like imagine like a second
we all
fold.
Have two.
Anyways, and then if he like, it's like very subtle, and then if he opens it, that's how he activates his like firepower, and he turns into like imagine someone that's like all flame, but then he's shaped as a serpent kind of thing, and then he just like can torture everyone. It's a whole thing. Anyways, he's very strong. That's the whole point. And then the leader of the Order, Gareth, actually at the end of the book, like he runs away, not runs away, but he goes, okay, I'm done with the quest. I'm going to go home early to do my duties. And everyone's like, oh, sus. Like he's trying to do something by going home, but they're too worried about saving these slaves. And then the end of the book, the last page is him writing to them, basically letting them know the queen of their country has passed away. So he is like, that means that when this small group come back to this country, they're going to enter a country going into war.
Yeah. I remember about some young queen that wasn't really respected in the area.
Yeah.
But wasn't it technically more like she was a puppet and the Order was actually in control?
Yes, correct.
And then, but who were the people? Who were the people? The rebels or whatever equivalent?
So like distant relatives of the
queen that wanted to take the role.
Yeah, who thought that they should be the one in power at that time.
So one of them killed her?
Allegedly, like we don't know. It's like it's actually not a focus of the story at all. It's kind of just like a plot mover. Yeah. So first book, it's kind of like introductions to the characters, introduction to the world, context to why they're in wartime. And then now we're into book 2, Children of Fallen Gods. Book 2 is really interesting. It's quite heavy. You're basically reading 2 stories at once because it's a combination of reading from the point of view of the present. So you get Tisaanah's point of view, Max's point of view, and that's the present. And then occasionally every few chapters, you get a flashback. But the flashback is always from this character named Effie's point of view. I'm not going to talk about the book in chronicle order. So for the sake of context, I'll reveal who Effie is. Effie is actually Reshaye, who is the deep magic person, magic thing in Tisaanah.
So is it Reshaye or Reshaye?
Rishi? I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Did you mean it was that Reshaye is the same as Reshaye?
Yeah. Should I spell it for everyone so everyone can try to like...
So it's the same thing. Okay, all right. It's not a different character.
Not a different character.
Different deep power character.
No. There's only one.
Reshaye, Rihanna. Reshaye.
I think it's just Reshaye. I think that's how I pronounced it.
Okay. Oh, that's fine. Sorry, I was just confused. You said Reshaye. 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 There's no point spelling stuff to me because I just can't envision the word. All right. It's Reshaye.
And Tisaanah is fragmented. That was the word that that the book uses, where she's like mixed skin, mixed color hair, 2 color different hair.
What's
fragmented.
the pure blood people called?
All one color. Oh, the magic, sorry.
Not the magic, the people that are not fragmented or are a whole.
Valtane.
Valtane. Okay.
And then the other magic type is Solary, which they just look human.
But don't have powers?
They have powers. So Valtanes have power from the that is internal origin. So like mind control, manipulating emotions, like anything that's like internal. Whereas Solars are magic where it's like external. So they can physically mend wounds, like piece skin together. They can like manipulate elements, all physical and external stuff, not internal. So if you have two healers, a Valtane would be able to heal like the tissues and the muscles. No, sorry, I lied. That's the other one. The other ones can heal like bones, like putting back together because it's physical, where she will mend like emotionally and all that stuff as well to help.
Yeah.
Because I always say like if you have both to heal you, that's how you heal completely.
That's nice. Don't need like a psychiatrist to just get this person to mentally heal you.
I don't know if that's how it works.
That's how it sounded when you explained it.
I think it's
the
more
case
like
and why
dulling the pain, like using like certain hormones that's inside you to like numb the pain and stuff.
That power,
the internal power,
numb other people's pain as well.
Because when Tisaanah in book 1 got hurt, she first got healed by a Valtane, which is internal magic. And she said that she just felt a warmth on her back where she was injured, and it was like slowly healing. But it was like a slow heal. Whereas when this other character healed her later externally, he physically like healed the bruise or put the skin back together. So she might have still been hurting underneath, but her skin was like fine.
Yeah, okay.
Anyways, that was really like side tangent. I guess it's good for the context.
Because I was just like, oh, that's a cool power.
Yeah, so there's the way the book's laid out, every few chapters you get a flashback from this character's called Effie's point of view, who is actually Reshaye, before she was Reshaye. It's basically her original form, which is actually an actual character. In this book, we also learned that.
And what type of person was she?
So in this book, we learned that there's phase in this world as well.
She's not a Voltane.
No, not Valtane or Solary. So Valtanes and Solary, the thing is, they're all humans. They're just humans with magic, but they're still humans. Whereas phase, which is short for like fairies, are like different species, like a different type of species where they like live thousands of years, are stronger than humankind, have self-healing abilities, etc., etc. And within the Fae, there are also different subspecies. So like humans have Valtane and Solaries, Faes will have different kinds as well.
Okay.
And Effie was a Fae. The Fae in the present world is perceived as extinct. Extinct? Why does that word not sound real?
No, you said it right the first time. Extinct.
Okay. Anyways, so she, in the present world, they're extinct. And that's because they got wiped out during a Fae war 500 years ago, which is where this flashback is kind of based on. And during the flashback, what you slowly learn is Effie's history and how she becomes Reshaye. And then in the present is just watching Max and Tisaanah and all their friends navigate the war. That's kind of what's happening. It's a bit slow and confusing at the start unless you're really focused. And then eventually the two stories land in the same timeline and you're like, whoa, it's pretty good. Anyways, so little things we learn. Let's start with Effie just for like good context. Because to be honest, the first half of the book is a little bit slow when it comes to Max and Tisaanah. What ends up happening is they come back, they get forced into the war. And because like Zareth and stuff don't like them together, like he thinks that Max and Tisaanah are too powerful together and he like fears that power. He splits them up, makes Max a captain that leads like one group of people out and makes Tisaanah be captain and lead a different group of people to like take over different countries to expand their conquer ring.
Mm.
So then like the first half of the book is just like watching them navigate being split apart and how they fight the war that they don't believe in. So they do it in a way where they minimize the kill by creatively like taking over the countries by just scaring them, but without killing. So Tisaanah, for example, like she managed to like push everyone past like a mountain, and then she brought down the mountain to show her strength to scare them. So then they like what's the white flag? Surrender. And then Max just like tries to go straight to the leader. Like he always tries to like just cut past everyone instead of like fighting, get straight to the person in charge, tries to convince them with words first. And only when they don't agree, then he'll kill them. But at the same time, they like minimize their kills. And then they reunite later, and it's beautiful and it's great. And it's funny because the only reason Max joins, because he's so jaded and would never join, is for two reasons. One, for Tisaanah, because he's like, she can't fight this war alone. Like, I need to help her to maximize her survival. And two,
he agreed to split from her.
Well, just to join the war. It's a command. Like, or like they got commanded by their bosses. Like, they had to. They had no choice.
What happened to that other second in charge girl? I remember.
She's around. She's also like
which
unit
is she with Max, or is she with?
She's like running her own as well.
Okay, with her own unit and stuff.
Yeah. They're just like fighting this war, slowly taking over countries.
Who are they fighting again? Is that one of the type of humans, or is it just?
It's just humans.
Rebels.
Yeah, it's just humans.
Humans.
Well, but they're rebels. But like,
are they one or the other? Like, are they the Voltane?
No.
Or the
the magic's different types of magic. There's no beef between them.
Okay, all right. So it's
just like
people
normal
with
humans.
Different beliefs.
And then like you know how like
be ruler.
Yeah, you know how like if there's a world war, different countries ally
join
with
in. Yeah.
So it's like that. So they're trying to like dominate all the surrounding countries to like win the war.
Yeah.
So they can stay in power.
Sorry. So you said they're doing their own thing and then they meet up again. Tisaanah and Max. Yeah.
Yeah. And the only reason Max goes, it's like there's some really like sad, cute moments in it as well, where like Moth, the young boy that you met in book 1, who's like literally 12, 13, learning.
Little trainee. Yeah.
Yeah. He signs up to be a soldier to contribute to the war, and Max is like, absolutely not. Like, you're too young for that. So then like Max forces him into his unit so that he can basically protect him.
Yeah.
But then part of the theme of the book is like you can't protect everyone in time of wars. He survives. Moth survives, thank God. But he puts in a situation where he's like forced to make his first kill, and it rattles him. And then Max has to learn how to help him navigate that as well. And then he realizes like Max, who's the most innocent person he knows, like that's been stripped away from him as a result of the war. So it just makes him even more bitter about it.
Mm-hmm.
Very sad. So in Alfie's timeline, when we go flashback, we find out that she's actually a princess of one of the Fae kingdoms. She has a younger sister, a mum and a dad, and she has a very complicated relationship with her parents, where her mum is perceived to ignore her. Her dad hates her and is like really strict with her because he doesn't he doesn't put the same pressure on her sister, but puts that pressure on her. And we realize later it's because she has a special magic as a fae that is perceived wrong and not good, where she can steal people's music and steal people's magic and copy people's magic.
Effie?
Yeah. So if she like bites someone, she can like absorb their magic and use their magic and mimic it. And that has like a special name, and people don't like that. Like it's really like
common,
frowned upon.
or is it like a rare?
It's very rare, but it's not rare in a good way.
Yeah.
And yeah, so her dad's basically ashamed of her, so he doesn't like her. And as a result, to prove herself and to like win the love of her parents because she's broken from it, she decides to join the like guild of the guards, like all the guards, and like climb her ranks through there. So she's quite powerful amongst all the warriors of the kingdom. And even though she's a princess, she's actually a warrior and she like knows how to fight and stuff like that. And what ends up happening one day is the humans from 500 years ago who were powerless started attacking Fays. And they don't know how humans are beating the Fays. Like it's unknown. So for a lot of the book, they're actually trying to chase the humans town to town to witness it, to see how the hell they're defeating the Fays. So they shouldn't be.
The humans have their own magic, like you said. They have internal and external magic.
500 years ago, they didn't.
Oh, okay. So they're just normal, like us.
A spoiler was them realizing that magic. That's actually, they realized that they were
magic
powerful.
Within, yeah.
And then they used it against the Fae. And the only reason they used it against the Fae was like some Faes would like belittle humans and treated them as slaves and stuff like that as well. Like it was just like it's that fight for power as well. Like the Faes were always the superior ones back then. Like they didn't live in peace. They left very separate lives. Like there was like human worlds and the Fae worlds, and they to like have peace, they just like lived separately. They didn't think that they could live together. And then, so what ends up happening is on an adventure out one day, Effie stumbles. They go to a nearby town and everyone in the town is, on the coast or just like outside the town, they just see a row of dead Fays. Like it's very eerie. And then they realize one of them is still alive, Cauldron. And Effie just like to figure out what the hell happened, takes him back to the kingdom and like tries to look after him under the kingdom. And when he is back to life, he's the one who goes, the humans attacked. And then they learn later, like other cities and towns nearby have been attacked and been completely wiped out by the humans. And they're just like going town to town to town. So they're like, how is this happening? Why is this happening? So then Effie and some other soldiers get like put together as a little team to go out and go hunt these humans and to figure out like how they're doing it and why they're doing it to try to stop it. And the interest of a common enemy, they actually, so you know how I said earlier within the Fays, there's different species of Fays?
Yeah.
There's another, so Effie's from one type. They don't have a name, but like the way they described in the book, just think of them as like more modern day type Fays where like they're dressed in normal clothes and stuff like that. Whereas there's this other species of Fays, they have wings for starters, so they can fly. And they're always dressed really like goddess-like, like in like Greek mythology type, the white hogans and stuff like that. Hogans? My dog just put on my microphone, but I think I'm back.
Yeah.
Chaos.
It's like, yes, yeah, I know what you're saying. It's that bedsheet style of dressing. Yeah.
Exactly. Anyways, they're like enemies, but they just live in peace, like far away from each other. But they decide to form an alliance in the interest of a common enemy, in this instance, the human, in fear that they will attack one of their towns. So this party is made out of half the winged people and half Effie's group. And the main character in the winged group is, so her equivalent, let me just grab his name so I don't forget. It's been a while since I read the book, so I just need my reminders of what the characters' names are actually. And they're all really cool names. I just can't pronounce it, but that's a me problem, not the author. Ishqua is the like wing guy that's like, I don't know, like the second strongest guard or something like that. Like him and this other dude. So they go on a party. There's only 4 of them. It's Effie, like one of her best friends, Ishqa and one of his like person. So there's 4 of them and they're like going out. And then Colden decides to come as well because he's like, I need to like come as well because they killed my whole town. There's only me and like 10 other people who have survived, who they saved from the rows of dead people that were barely alive, and they managed to save them. Colden, by chance, becomes the king of that country because everyone died. And he's like, I was like 14th in line. Like, it was never supposed to be me. I'm such a distant relative. Like, the fact that we got wiped out so hard that now I'm the king of 10 people is ridiculous. So he's like, I need to know as much as you guys know. So he joins the party. So I apologize. It was 5 people, not 4 people. And during their little adventure together, Effie and Colden basically start developing like a fling, essentially. They never hook up. They get close to it multiple times, but they never do. They just like find good company within each other. Like they have good banter and they just learn to care about one another. So that's what's happening in the flashback. So we're like, oh, Effie was like a real person that wasn't just power hungry and wanted to show off her power. Because whenever we are introduced to her as Reshaye, she's just this like power craze conscious thing in Tisaanah or anybody where she tries to take over, and all she wants to do is demonstrate a performance of power. Like that's all she ever cares about. She never really has a strong objective. She never really like understands or have empathy. She just wants to like show her power. That's all she ever wants to do. Like when she kills, she's just killing to show off that she can.
Maybe that sort of future state is a component of her personality, which is just the, one that's wants to prove herself and show off. But I'm assuming Effie as a whole person has other, traits and characteristics.
Yeah, well, she's just a well-rounded fae back then. A lot of empathy. Like she does everything to protect her people and just trying to prove herself. And she's like, she can love and stuff like that. So then you start to humanize her and you're like, oh, how did that become what we know in the present? It's like fascinating. And then a milestone moment happens. This is when the 2 storylines start to connect, where Tisaanah and Max finish like their missions and come back, and like all the units are like back. And then being kind of like the highest rank and most powerful people in the order at the moment, we have Zareth, the king of the orders, in a room. We have Nura, second in charge. We have Max and we have Tisaanah in a room together, like discussing it. And then Max is basically like screaming at Zareth, being like, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you starting this war? Blah, blah, blah. Like, like full of just like questions. They don't like each other anyway. So like them fighting is not uncommon. And then what ends up happening is Zareth has been actually playing with deep magic in a way that like you shouldn't be, because it takes a toll on you personally. Like you inject yourself with stuff and like do all these things. And he does it to like give more power to himself and to others so that they can win this war. So he's like, I don't know, like think of it equivalent of like being addicted to drugs. Like,
what do you mean deep magic though? Like I thought only Reshaye was deep magic. So was he injecting a bit of Reshaye into him? Or...
No, Reshaye is like a type of deep magic. But do you remember those characters that I introduced in book 1 that had no eyes because they can tap into a level of deep magic?
Yep, vaguely. Yes, I remember the no eyes part.
So like just imagine deep magic is like an untapped potential source of power that people can get to, but you on a normal basis cannot reach. Reshaye just has deep magic. And when you have her inside you, you can just tap into that source whenever you want.
The one that this guy is doing.
This guy is doing something to access that as well. We don't know
Does it take
what,
a toll on him, what you're saying?
But he's doing something where like he makes a deal with like probably like a dark magic person, or he injects himself stuff. Like it's not specified. We just know he's doing something, because every time we see him in book 2, he's weak. He gets weaker and weaker. Like he looks physically weaker. He looks like he hasn't slept. He looks like he hasn't eaten a lot, so he's lost a lot of weight. He gets more paranoid. Metaphorically, what happens is like he's been wearing this crown trying to be king ever since the queen died. And every time you see him, the crown doesn't fit him like even more. Like it starts to like flop to the side and stuff like that because he's getting so like small in an unhealthy way.
Okay. That kind of makes sense. A lot of people power crazed.
Yeah.
Start to develop paranoia. And
Correct.
they become super stressed and anxious, and hence the, you know, weight loss and looking frail and pale, etc.
Yes.
So, yeah, okay, all right. But who is he? So these people are fighting because the queen's died. Who is this order fighting for?
The order is fighting for the queen that just died. So the true line of royalty.
To the next person in line.
Yeah. Except there's no next person in line because the queen was 13. So they're saying like for now.
But is there like another cousin or?
But no, because they're all the ones who want to become the next royalty.
Then the protocol would be like one of them that become the next in line.
Yeah, but like they're saying that they're not right for it. So this is like part of the power craze. Like Zareth is basically like, no, until we sort this out properly, the order is in charge. But then they also disagree with that. Hence him wearing the crown.
All right.
Like he just wants the power.
Interim
king
until he figures out what to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Except in this scene, what happens is he lets his paranoia get to him, and then he ends up having a fight with Max quite dramatically, and he like physically gets into a fight with him as well. And then everyone's like, why don't we just kill him? Like kill Zareth. And then
who says that? Max.
Like Max. And then Zareth is basically like, I knew you were going to go there, so I've struck the deal and I've bonded myself to Tisaanah using dark magic that if I die, she dies. So you guys can't kill me.
Was that the original thing that he did?
No, not part of the contract. Just using dark magic somehow.
Didn't she have to agree to
Tisaanah
that?
No, because it's like dark magic. I don't know.
He could just do that without consenting with her or getting
I'm
her
assuming
consent.
he did it something with Reshaye. Because I don't know how he did it with her without her realizing. Because it was a shock to her as well. And then Max is like, is that true? Tisaanah's like, I don't know. Like, what? And Nura, like even Nura was like confused, and she's second charge. She's like, what are you doing? Like, we had an agreement, because apparently her and Zareth were like partnering up to figure out how to like take control. And he's basically betrayed her as well. So then Max can't kill him because he doesn't want Tisaanah to die. Like, he doesn't know if it's true or not, but he can't risk it, right? And then they're getting into a brawl, Max and Zareth, and then Max could easily win, but he's like not trying because he doesn't want to. Yeah, he's holding back because he doesn't want Tisaanah to get hurt. And Nera's like, what are you doing? I know you're strong on this. And Tisaanah panics because she's like, oh my God, Zareth is going to kill him, like actually kill him.
Because he's not
Yeah.
killing him. Yeah.
So then Tisaanah steps in and kills Zareth.
Yeah.
Like just steps in to protect Max. And then it's this dramatic scene where for like a few seconds she's still alive. So she's like, maybe it's okay. And then suddenly it's not. And then we get her point of view where she's like falling into this light where she like just gets unconscious and she's essentially dying. Max manages to transport her to a dark witch that he knows that just knows like illegal magic, like dumps her there, and he's like, you need to save her. And then the witch is like, you need to, I don't think she's a witch, I just call her a witch. I think she's just like someone that does illegal magic. But she's like, okay, you can tap into your deep magic. She's going to fall into her deep magic or something like that unconscious world. You need to reach her there and pull her back. Like, you need to use your power to pull her back, but it'll take a lot from you. There's no guarantee that you'll come back as well. So then he grabs onto her and tries to like get to her so he can pull her back out and
like
bring her back to life.
Or something.
Yeah. Okay. Like herself. Because it was dark magic that is the deal that is making her die, right?
still
and he needs to like
understand
tap
that.
into her.
Like how what's his name? Zareth?
Yeah.
How he could essentially bond without her knowing. Because I feel like in any, magical sort of story, whether it's Harry Potter or something, there's always like a conscious deal, whether it's a forced deal or, a mutual agreement. Like there has to be both parties to accept, the fate if something happens for that to be magically binding. That's very confusing that he could do that, like bond himself, his life to her life without her knowing. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. And to be fair, in the
Feels
book,
like it's such a what's the word? It just means like some other people could just be like, if they want to get rid of someone, they just be like, all right, I'm gonna bond myself and then bond this person to this person, and I'll kill this other person. The other person will die.
look, to be fair, the book could have given more details and I probably just didn't catch it and retain it. Because I think like there's certain readers when you read fantasy books, and I think fantasy books also have different scales depending on the author. So you have your character buildings and your character development. That's like one element of a book. If it's fantasy, you have your world building and your magic systems.
Mm.
And then the third will be like just the writing, in my opinion, like how good you can articulate the two above, right?
Yeah.
And when I read these types of books, I read character first. Like my favorite books are always driven by who the characters are, their character development, all that. World building is second to me. And then I think the writing, I will turn a blind eye if the writing's not the best in the world, but if it's like comprehensible, then it's fine. I think you're someone that might enjoy, if you read a fantasy book, you would probably be more grateful for a strong world building and pay more attention to that than the characters.
That is true, actually, because in reading and watching the Harry Potter movies, I'm always interested around like the specific spells and objects and like the genesis of them and how they can, how they work and stuff. Because like in Harry Potter, like there was like one object which was like a time turner where they could go back in time. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, why don't they just use that to kill Voldemort when he was a baby or something? Or just use that to like know the future and then just go back and like get rid of him. But then I think I read like when I was like in those like, wiki versions, someone said that, he apparently set them all on fire or destroyed them all or something.
Right.
So I was like, all right, they covered that loophole then. All right, perfect. But yes, I think I appreciate, like you said, the world setting and the logic that sits behind it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, surely there's like another way to, for this to happen or to be avoided, etc. But anyway, all right. So
because I like fantasy for the whimsicalness, not for the actual magic.
Yeah. All right. So Max has to tap into
Max is like tapping
magic.
into this deep magic to find her and pull her out. He does so successfully, but only because Reshaye sacrifices herself for Tisaanah.
That's nice of her.
She basically has a moment where she's about to die, and Rashaye.
But she dies. Does Reshaye die too? Because Reshaye is in her.
Yeah, but they could probably get her out because she's her own
entity.
Yeah.
Being. Okay.
They just have to figure out because do you remember how she was in like a dying dude basically when they gave her to Tisaanah? Like they put her in a unable body. So I assume if Tisaanah died, Reshaye would still live in her for a period of time unless Tisaanah rots away. So they would just quickly cut and like transfer to somewhere else.
Reshaye sacrifice herself then if it's not really
so Reshaye
self-benefit for her?
No. There's a few interpretations. Like some people go, she's taken a liking to Tisaanah to a point where she cares.
No, of course.
But it never implies that because what actually happens is Reshaye has had a pattern of always talking about how lonely she is, which is why she gets so obsessed with her hosts if she does like them. That's why she was so obsessed with Max and so obsessed with Tisaanah, and she gets so easily jealous because if they give attention to someone else, she's like, you're going to leave me? But she's just lonely and she doesn't like being alone because when she didn't have a host, she was just sitting in nothing. She said there's like this thing she repeats all the time where she's like, I'm in a room full of white and all I see is white and white and white. Because it's like, I can imagine that being quite unbearable. It's probably attributed to why she's gone so insane and doesn't remember her past because she's like just gets left alone all the time for like centuries sometimes. So anyways, she realizes that she has an opportunity to die because she's never been able to kill herself or do any of that in the past. She couldn't escape it, which is why it was so sad. She just had to sit in the loneliness. She couldn't even escape it, even with death. And in this, she's like, in death, I can be at peace. So I will sacrifice myself to save you, and I will take the place of the death. Like I will still fulfill the magic deal by taking someone and dying, and you will be able to live. So she gives her all her power in order for her to survive. And that is the only reason why Max makes it in time to her to pull her out, because there was no guarantee that Reshaye could have saved her on her own, but she brought enough time so that Tisaanah was still alive for longer before Max reached her and pulled her out, and she came back to life.
Okay.
But when she comes back to life, they realize that one of the sacrifices, besides losing Reshaye, is she loses her magic completely. So even her own magic. Do you remember how she could like create butterflies and stuff like that? Read people's emotions?
Yeah.
That was her natural ability. She couldn't even do that anymore. So she was just Tisaanah, like a human. And then at the same time, they meet Ishqa. So Reshaye's just died. And do you remember 500 years ago, Ishqa was one of her party members that went to her to go hunt around the humans?
Her friend? Her best friend? Or was it the one that survived?
The one that survived.
Okay.
So I skipped over this part. They basically like find the humans and then they found out that like they've discovered their powers. So it's the Valtains that are like killing the Faes, and they're trying to find something to host all their magic so they can weaponize even stronger magic to defeat the Faes. So they're looking for something. And every town that they meet and they kill everyone, sometimes the humans sometimes when the Faes they kill, they don't die completely, but they come like zombie-like and just go on a killing frenzy, which is how they wipe out whole towns. Because when one of these Faes turn into like a zombie thing that is in a killing frenzy, they kill others as well. So that's how like a whole town dies. And are you listening?
Yeah.
And then
Sorry. I was listening. I was just anyway.
So
Got scolded.
but during some of the battles when they found the humans in certain towns and like that, basically the party of 5 like they've died. So Effie's best friend dies, the other wing person died, so it's just Ishqa, Effie and Cauldron, and then Cauldron is the last to die because he I think he like tries to protect Effie or something like that. Like it's quite a tragic thing.
Ishqa. I thought Cauldron's the one that they revived that was dying, yeah? So
yes, yes.
Ishqa
But he came to the party. Ishqa's the wing fae type because they
revive him too.
They didn't revive him. He's just from a different.
But he was
fae.
part. Oh, okay, all right.
He's just part of the party that was looking for the humans.
Ishqa and Cauldron. Okay.
No. And then it was sad when Cauldron died
yeah.
because that's when Effie realizes that she really loved him. And then she's just stuck. And then in turn, just Ishqa. And then Ishqa betrays her and gives her to the humans and lets her walk into a trap without him because he finds out about her magic because she did it during the war where she like bites people and then she can like steal their magic, which means she's an empty vessel that can take anything. So the
Oh.
humans are like, oh, she can be our vessel to like take all these powers so that we can use her as a weapon. So he betrayed her, gave her to the humans.
What did he get back
and
for it?
the safety of his people.
Okay. All right. Well,
Yeah. So he did it for, because he has a son back home. So he did it all for her. So the end of Effie's flashback was her dying, essentially. And Ishkwa basically just being the last person she sees, and she just has this like strong hatred towards him because she's like, how dare you? Like, I just lost everything and then you betrayed me as well. Sorry, I skipped over one thing. They in one of the towns they found out it was a town where humans and fays live together, which is like
peacefully
and rare. And she like finds her father, who's like a half human, half fae. And then we find out that's also why her king dad hates her, because it's not his legitimate daughter. And the only reason she was able to escape that town is because her real
was half
dad.
human, half fae.
Yeah, so she's like part of human something, and that's probably where the whole that's probably why she's manifested this weird thing, like not traditional fae magic, because she has like this empty vessel part of her as well. And there was a lot that happened in town. I skipped over it because it wasn't that significant to the main storyline, but it is a good like plot because it gives a lot of context about who she was.
Does that mean like any like half human, half fae could be a vessel? Or was it
she just happened to be the one that manifested it.
Yeah.
So she dies, expels alive, and then back to present day where their storylines are now in the present.
Wait, why did she die? I thought they needed her as a vessel.
Well, they took over her and then she lost her mind because the end of the scene is she's like, all I see is white and white and white, which is like a mirror of what she says in the present a lot of the time. So that's like she's forgotten who she was.
Oh, okay.
So Tisaanah and Max, then Ishkwa finds them and tells them about these raw magic, pure magic items. There's 3 of them that they need to find because he's like, the fays are alive because he's a fae. He's like, look, I'm a fae. I'm alive. And he's like...
Oh, so he's still alive
he's still alive.
Yeah. Since Fae War times.
And he senses that Reshaye was in Tisaanah, which is how he... Like, that's why he went to Tisaanah and Max, not to someone else. And he's like, you need to stop the fays because they're coming back. They've grown in numbers in the past 500 years and they're coming back for revenge.
Against the humans.
And they're going to do it by finding these 3 raw magic items that represent change, death, and creation. And if they find it, they're just going to wipe out the human race. So he's like, if you want any chance of survival, you need to find it first. And then
why did he rat his own people out?
Yes. So that's why Max is like, why should we trust you? Like, why are you going against your people? And he says, I made a mistake years ago and I feel like I'm the reason for the war. And he's alluding to the fact that it was when he betrayed Effie and gave her up, and that triggered a lot. So he's basically like, one bad decision has led to this. So he's trying to make up for it.
Has it though? Because I mean, the war currently happening now is because of the death of the queen.
Well, you remember that Fae war that wiped out the Faes allegedly?
Yeah.
It's because his people betrayed the other Fae group by giving up that princess, Effie, that caused the Fae war. Like, he betrayed the other Faes. So the Fae wars, and then the Faes got wiped out. Like, it's a war that could wipe out a race.
I thought that war was because of the humans attacking the Faes.
That probably also contributed to losing all the Faes.
Okay. All right. So there's like a war within the war.
But like, he was basically saying, but what if he had let Effie survive and they found a way to stop the humans?
Okay, but they didn't. And the humans took over, and then the Fays retreated and then started repopulating.
Well, yeah, the Fays were
in
fighting
secret.
amongst themselves on top of the humans pursuing them. So that's how they got wiped out. Allegedly got wiped out, but obviously some of them survived.
Well, they survived because of that guy's his own village and town where he made that sacrifice to protect them all.
Yes.
So they obviously prospered during that.
Well,
period.
his species survived, but then the other kingdoms, like, you killed one of our people, so they went to war.
Okay.
Anyways, he warns them, and then they're considering it, but Max is like, well, okay, cool. We'll like take it into consideration, but first things first, we got to like make sure Tisaanah's okay, and we need to get her magic back. And then they kind of like tease the idea that maybe this raw magic item can give Tisaanah her magic and power back as well. So that's also an idea.
Okay.
So they go back to the order place, and it's in chaos because there's no more arch commander, so the top guy, because Zareth is dead. So they're like, we need to assign a new like person in charge, and like by default it should be Nura unless anyone challenges her.
Yeah,
and
the second.
She's second in charge.
Yeah,
but then a lot of people like, we don't want Nura to be in charge because like she's also a little bit corrupted. So then this they have a neutral council who are just like old people who've been around for a long time, who you like imagine like in a company, a board, that need to like kind of say yes and like oversee everything. And then one of them quite likes Max, and he's like, Max, I need you to volunteer to challenge her and like be an arch commander. He's like, no, I don't want that responsibility. I don't want that leadership. And he's like, no, you need to do it because that's the better outcome for our people and our world. You can stop the war. Like you can help. And then because he has
always been forced to do things he doesn't want to do.
And he has a morale superiority complex. So then he basically just like has to. So then he challenges Nura, and then she feels betrayed, but because she won't step down for it, the way they work it out is they have to fight one-on-one in this like oval thing, and then in the ditch of the oval where they're fighting, there's like on top railing where people can watch on the side. So at the very last scene of this book, they're like fighting for the seat of Arch Commander, and Max is basically, they're very close, but then towards the end it's like Max is winning. He knocks her out and he basically won. But before it can like turn into anything, they all get attacked by these like shadow creatures that no one's ever seen before, that just start killing people who were watching. Those characters that have no eyes, that tap into deep magic, get possessed, and then they start killing people.
Oh, but they work for the
exactly.
humans,
but they've been possessed. During this chaos,
so these shadow things, are they Fays or then other species?
They're other species.
Being controlled by Fays?
They are controlled by a Fae that we learn about in the third book, but not in this book.
Okay.
Like at the moment, they're just like evil creatures that attack you. And then Tisaanah comes down to like try to find Max to fight, to like save him, even though she has no power. But before she can, Nura comes back to life, and this all happens at the same time.
How the hell did she come back to life?
Well, she didn't die; she just got knocked out.
Okay.
Max doesn't kill people. Like he like avoids killing people at all costs. Like that's just him.
Yep.
So he knocked her out, and then this all happens at the same time, which is what made him vulnerable. Cauldron, the Fae from 500 years ago that was supposed to be dead, appears.
Huh? Okay.
And he's like, I've been looking for you.
For who? Tisaanah?
Max.
Max.
Because Max has a little bit of Reshaye in him. That's how he wields that fire, that crazy firepower, because that's a gift that Reshaye gave him.
Yep.
And Cauldron does some weird magic freak thing. He's also called the Fae King because he was the next in line, and to be the king. He ended up being the only surviving royalty back 500 years ago. So now he's just the king of all Fays.
Yeah. So he was 14th in line or something.
Yeah, he's fake. He's
but we
just
thought he
the
died.
fake king.
Yeah.
And somehow he pulls Reshaye from Max in a physical body, and then Effie comes back to life as Effie, as a Fae. And she's confused as heck because she doesn't remember herself as Effie first. She only remembers herself as Reshaye first. But then like part of Effie that's there. So she doesn't kill anyone. And Cauldron's just like, oh, trust me, blah, blah, blah. So she follows him because she has like because remember she loved him 500 years ago. So she's like, even though I don't know him, for some reason I trust him. So she follows him. Yeah. So Cauldron basically brings her back to life, takes her, and then they escape.
How did he take her out of Max? Was Max willing? Or he just
No, he just forced it.
Okay.
It kind of tells you at the end of the third book.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Max, in his compromised position, Nora comes back. And instead of like trying to save her, she takes advantage of him, knocks him out so that she can take the role of Arch Commander. Like that's still her ultimate goal. She doesn't care about the chaos going on around.
Mm.
Everyone realized what just happens. Nura's just won. So
Well, she just knocked him out. He can come back alive as well.
yeah. Samarin, do you remember him? He's the physical wielder, the healer that was the mentor to Moth, the little boy, and also Max's best friend. He's been just there, side character, just lingering. Anyways.
And surviving, yep.
Surviving. He was watching with Tisaanah and he realizes everything that's happened, and he basically tells Tisaanah she needs to run now and she needs to go remember all the slave refugees that she saved at the end of the last book that she's brought over to this country, and they've basically like made a little village for themselves, like trying to like
rebuild
their life.
Yep.
He's basically like, Nura is going to imprison all of them. She's going to get rid of you because she didn't trust you guys or like you guys or anything like that. She's like, you need to go to them and you need to get them out. So Tisaanah has to run away, gets the slave and escapes and flees with Samarin and Moth and stuff, so like any ally. They can't get to Max on time, so Max gets taken back to the Order. And now that Nura's the boss, she sentences him to prison and blames him for like all these deaths and even the wars from years ago. She's like, yeah, he's the reason for the death. That's why he needs to go to prison, and sends him to that like really powerful prison that we heard. I don't remember if I talked about it in book 1. But there's this prison that just lives on this island that no one really knows where it came from. And it has like its own magic. And once you're in that prison, there's no way of you escaping. People die in it. People go crazy in it. It really manipulates your mind when you're in there. Like you start seeing stuff and you just lose yourself. And she sends him there, and no one can break into it. Like it's a whole thing. So
these elders, I thought they all were like.
Well, Nura won the fight. That was part of the process.
Well, I mean, she got.
I can't overthrow her.
And then she knocked out him.
Yeah, but before anything could happen, that's what I mean.
Oh, okay, all right. Just as a technicality.
It's technicalities.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the end of book 2. Book 2 ends on Max getting sent to pretty much their version of it, to this life-threatening prison. Tisaanah escaping with Samarin, the slaves, and other allies back to her home country where she was originally a slave, because that's the only safe place at the moment. Reshaye coming back to life as Effie, the cauldron.
It's a person. Thank you.
Cardian. I actually don't know his name. I think I've been saying it wrong the whole time. Anyways, Cardian is alive. The Fae King brought her back to life. There's some weird shadow creatures killing everyone. And Ishqa is still alive and is going to betray Cardian now? Like, what? What a cliffhanger, honestly. So that's the end of the second book. It was a slow start, interesting start, added a lot, but God, what a payoff! Like I remember getting to the last 100 pages and just going, what? Like what's going on? There's so much happening
Maybe
right
the
now.
author like was writing it and then was like, there's actually not that much action, and then just like had to like end it all dramatically and just do the last few chapters just to make up for the more sort of slower pace.
No. The slowness made sense because it added a lot to the context before it all happened. Because otherwise, like the Fae King coming out of nowhere and who is he and why would he save Reshaye made no sense. But the fact that you got all her flashback and you understood that they loved each other and stuff like that, like everything made sense when it happened then. So it was good. It's so good. I literally picked up, thank God I picked up the series when it's completed. There's 3 books, there's a trilogy. So as soon as I finished the second book, I just like smashed the third book because I needed to know what happened. But yeah, that's it. That's another book recap. I hope everyone enjoyed. I do encourage you to still read it, even if you listen to this, because I definitely missed out on a lot of good details. I think it's an easy read overall. The characters are interesting and there's actually really good themes that makes you think about a lot as well. So it's just like about how like power influences everyone, why people make sacrifices, why people betray each other, how traumatic circumstances can really mess people up and how that turns into something. Yeah, it's good. Good themes. Let's end on something a little bit lighter and we'll go through our dessert. So desserts are our intentional moments that we take to appreciate the sweet moments in our lives, whether it be recently or anything that we think of. It's essentially us practicing gratitude. You have one?
Good. I'm still trying to understand the
You're thinking about the
book
magic
recap.
system?
But why don't you go first and I'll have a think of last.
I mean,
week
just
and
on
what's
theme.
happened.
Just on theme, because I've been just talking about this book the whole time, and the general setting is in wartime. I mean, the whole book is called the War of Lost Hearts. So it is like a war setting. And I know there's war going around in the world at the moment and it's very sad. So I think like because of that as well, I'm quite grateful and thankful that I'm somewhere where there is a level of peace and I can live in comfort and not in fear. So I'm grateful for that because I think people do take that for granted every day.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, we did go through COVID, but in terms of World War One, two, and even civil wars, like we've been very fortunate in our lifetime. That's a good one. I mean, my one was a bit more basic and not as thought provoking and appreciative. Mine was just so there's an egg shortage happening at the moment. So I remember I talked about how I was really grateful for potatoes. Same can be said about eggs because it's been a bit hard to get them. Eggs are just so versatile as a source of protein, but it's so delicious to eat. So yeah, let's hope this egg shortage thing like resolves itself because it's sad going to the supermarket and the whole egg shelf being completely empty. I just like eating 2 boiled eggs with a dash of bibon, chili, oil, and that's just a delicious meal. Very simple as well.
Yum. Good one. And then last thing is meal preps. So meal prep goals we're setting, things we're looking forward to, things we want to do that we want to just call out. Thinking ahead, looking forward as you do.
I think I am looking forward to. I mean, we're almost in we're in March now. Is it March? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks for confirming. So already like nearly a quarter in the year. So I'm looking forward to hopefully being able to, go on a holiday and, enjoy time off in a different country, in a different culture. Last year we did Japan. So, would love to do something again like that.
Fun. So I've been a bit in a reading slump in the last 2 months or so. This is very, very popular romantasy series at the moment. The first book is called Fourth Wing. The second book is Iron Flame. And the third book is called Onyx Storm that only came out this year. And after I read that book, I was in a big reading slump where I just like kept thinking about the books. I couldn't pick up like another book in a new series. And then I was just going back to my comfort books and reading old stuff again and again. Yeah, because I do that when I'm just like not in the mood to like pick up a new book because I'm just like
that's like me as well.
Mourning, finishing another book.
TV shows and movies where that's more from like being lazy and I just like don't want to have to fully invest and pay attention to something. So I like rewatch stuff that I know what happened. But yeah, okay. All right. Reading rereading a book. I guess maybe I'm sure you discover things you might have missed previously.
Yes. So that's kind of fun and reread. I only reread like certain chapters and stuff that I like that's comfortable. Because I was just like in a slump. But I think I'm out of my slump now. So I've just picked up a new series. I'm looking forward to picking this up. I hope it's good. I don't know. I picked it up because it literally has the word raven in it. It's called Feathers So Vicious. The series is called Court of Ravens, hence I picked it up. I think it has something to do with magic where like they turn into different ravens. I don't know. I have a fascination for ravens as the bird, and also I think the word raven is also very pretty. So that's why I picked it.
Just talking about birds, I discovered this fact about cuckoo birds and how like they don't nest their eggs. Like they literally, what they do is they find other nests that have eggs in it and they lay their eggs in and then they let like another bird do all the work and like feed their babies and everything.
That's crazy.
So they're literally like the lazy bird of nature. And that bird egg, like cuckoo birds, egg, like instinctively, they instinctively know to kick other eggs out of the nest, so then it can get more of the food. And same with babies, and it grows bigger because it wants to obviously take all the attention of the, I guess it's the foster bird mum, but the obviously the foster bird mum can't really tell. I don't know whether they can tell by the time the cuckoo bird is a bit older, but yeah, that was interesting. And I was like, damn, like cuckoo birds, so sly. Like essentially the scam artist bird of the of nature. Lazy, scammy, but very
wild.
But ingenious in some ways. I'm like, he doesn't want to do all the work with nesting.
It outsourced.
It outsourced it for free though. To another pay. It's like, anyway.
That's actually wild.
That's why the cuckoo bird is my favorite bird.
Okay.
It's that just because of that random fact. But yeah.
Nice. What a way to end. Okay. Thanks for that.
And Louis just made a reappearance after sleeping in the corner, and hopefully didn't hear him snoring or anything, or coughing. He's got a bit of a old man cough.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for tuning in wherever you are in the world. We appreciate you. We are grateful, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Peace. Bye.